remember, during the early days when I was discussing, and, like Jyoti is going to come on board. Jyoti and I were on a panel like last year, and, we have come a long way as a journey here together. So we found out that, yes, having that context is very important, and the ability to reach out to the leaders, right? So not everybody is kind of blessed, if you will, to be able to get in touch here. And in the end, I have a slide, and everybody again go to the purplebook.club. There's a lot of resources and information is there. Like Pavi was mentioning, she has open source her basically best practices for board presentations, which will share. So over to you, Jyoti. No.
Thank you, Nikhil. So your question was, why did I join? I believe life can be measured by a start date, a dash, and an end date. And I'm working towards making my dash most impactful. And the way we can make, even if you look at any job, you start a job, dash, you end a job. What you do in that job and how impactful you make that dash is what matters in the end. So this is my way of giving back to the community as a matter of making that dash most impactful, most purposeful. There are a lot of lessons learned that do not appear in a CISSP textbook, that you cannot get in a master's course. They are when you roll up your sleeves and you actually implement programs. And application security needs that kind of the community which is missing today. That is the reason I've joined. Because there was a poll, right? Like 98 to 99% of code bases have at least one open source flaw, which is at an average 2 to 3 years old. So how do you generate the awareness amongst your developers, your community on security, where security doesn't come as an afterthought? It is also the mingling of different maturity levels that you come together. So your second question was, what benefits have you seen so far? So at Fidelity, where I work, we have very mature engineering practices. We have integrated security at different ways of the pipeline. Even, we try to shift left as much as possible. But when I talk to other people in the community and in the discussions, for example, I've talked to Julie at Roblox saying, how do you manage? How do you scale? How do you scale, performance when you suddenly have 1.2 million just in a day? So that is the impact that we can do with each other. How do you impact and how do you benefit from lessons learned, guidelines, best practices, standards, and it's all coming together in this book, in this chapter. So my question to you is, how would you make the dash between your start date and the end date? How would you make it impactful? What about joining the community and learning from other leaders and other different organizations, different industries on what is important? Because web applications, 43% of the breaches involve web applications. It's really important that we have a cohesive application security program that goes and integrates at different levels, not just at a SAST testing level or at a pen testing level. It has to be incorporated in the entire software development lifecycle or your product lifecycle. And this community will help you with the chapters that they come out, the community that comes out. That's how it will help.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jyoti. And I know, like, outside of this community, you are also a distinguished Toastmaster, and, you give back and you mentor people. So it's a great idea to mentor people in the security world. And while, the world is talking about SBOM and all these things now, you have been doing it for over a decade, and you have built, software security development lifecycle, secure software development lifecycle. So really appreciate, your enthusiasm. And, you were one of the early ones in the beginning who kind of found out, because you had done all the research, right? There were a lot of things out there. And then again, just like, we have Toastmasters, right, which is for speaking. And there are like things, you have MBAs and other institutions or the degrees, but, Toastmasters is a good program just for people for speaking. So similarly for security, while we have the CISSP and a lot of other areas, but it's a good community which is there. So again, thanks for being here and thanks for